The movie begins with a guy named Paul taking his girlfriend Iris on a surprise date. He removes her blindfold and shows her the Skyview Tower restaurant, telling her that his friend helped him book a table there. Amazed, Iris hugs him. She then notices other women's clothes around her and feels uncomfortable, but Paul assures her she looks great. They start walking inside. As they walk, she notices a boy stealing coins from the fountain. Inside, they enter an elevator. While going up, Iris, afraid of heights, starts feeling scared. A few moments later, they reach the top. Paul asks one of the staff about their reservation, but the staff member says there's no reservation under their name and asks them to step aside. While looking at the view, Paul realizes that Iris is afraid of heights and feels like everything is going wrong. Sensing this, Iris reassures him that everything is okay and gives him a rose, hurting herself in the process. She suddenly feels uneasy and heads to the restroom. On the way, she notices one of the support levers moving a lot, and at the same time, one of the decorations damages the glass floor. Still, she continues to the restroom. There, one of the singers notices her and asks if she's pregnant. Iris denies it at first, but eventually admits that she's 2 months along. Iris then tells the singer that she hasn't told Paul about the pregnancy. The singer reassures her, saying that if Paul truly loves her, he won't let her go. Moments later, Paul shows up and takes Iris upstairs for some fresh air. There, Paul gets down on one knee and proposes with a ring. Seeing this, Iris tells him about the baby. Paul is overjoyed at the news and excited to start a family. Iris finally accepts the proposal. To celebrate, they start heading down. As they descend, Iris sees the same boy throwing a coin. The coin gets stuck in a fan. Meanwhile, inside the restaurant, people begin dancing. The vibrations knock some bolts loose from a support lever, and the glass floor starts to crack. At the same time, the coin dislodges and strikes a highly flammable gas pipe. Gas begins to leak and spread toward the dance floor. A few moments later, the glass floor gives way, collapsing and killing most of the people on it, including Paul. Panic erupts. As everyone tries to flee, one woman's dress catches fire. In a panic, she runs directly into the area with the gas leak, causing a massive explosion that destroys half of the area and many more people with it. A staff member shouts for everyone to head to the stairs, but everyone who attempts to use them dies, except for the boy. The staff member then urges people to use the elevator. As people rush in, a man knocks Iris aside to get in, but the elevator fails, and everyone inside, including the man, dies. Terrified, Iris runs to the other side of the floor, which begins to collapse beneath her. She ends up on the edge, with only a sheet of glass keeping her from falling. A few moments later, the coin hits the piano, which crashes through the glass, killing everyone on it. Meanwhile, the falling piano crushes him, killing him instantly. Only Iris and the singer's child remain. Seeing him, she grabs him and jumps. The only thing keeping them from falling is the engagement ring. Finally, her finger breaks under the strain, and they both fall to their deaths. A few moments later, Stefani screams in the middle of her class, startled by a vivid dream. That same night, she experiences the exact dream again and wakes up screaming. Shaken, she tells her roommate that the girl in the dream has the same name as her grandmother. Her roommate suggests that she go back home and find out more. The next morning, Stefani drives home and begins asking her father about the letters her grandmother used to send her mother, hoping to find an address. Her father explains that he threw away all of her mother's belongings after she left them when Stefani was 14 years old. A few moments later, Stefani's brother Charlie shows up, and the two of them head to their cousin's house. While in the car, Charlie asks why she's really there. Stefani explains that she's been having strange dreams about their grandmother Iris, and that she's even failing her classes due to lack of sleep. A few moments later, they arrive at their cousin's house, where Stefani meets Eric, Bobby, and Julia. She is also greeted by her Aunt Brenda and Uncle Howard. Stefani wastes no time and asks about Iris. She tells them she's been dreaming about Iris in a place called Skyview Tower. Howard doesn't want to talk about it, but Stefani insists. Finally, Howard explains that after their father died, Iris changed. She pulled them out of school, wouldn't let them leave the house, and became obsessed with all the different ways people could die. Eventually, he and Darlene had to run away from home. But even after they escaped, Iris tracked them down and began sending disturbing letters describing violent and terrifying deaths. But Stefani asks if they still have the letters. Howard warns her that Iris is a mad woman and tells her to stay away from her. He then walks away. Stefani turns to her Aunt Brenda and confesses that her life is falling apart because of the recurring dream. Brenda finally reveals the place where the letters are stored. Stefani quickly heads there and manages to find the location. A few moments later, she drives to the address and tells the woman who opens the door that she's her granddaughter. Iris, recognizing her, lets her inside. Iris seats her in a chair and immediately asks about her daughter, Darlene. Stefani explains that she hasn't heard from Darlene since she was a child. She then describes the dream about Skyview Tower. Iris tells her that it's not just a dream, it's a premonition. On that day, she says, she caught a glimpse of what death was planning. She began to panic, took the coin from the boy, and ran downstairs, warning everyone about the unstable glass floor. Her actions saved many lives that, according to her, weren't meant to be saved. She explains that the restaurant never reopened after the incident and was eventually demolished. Over the years, Iris claims, death found a way to reach everyone who had been there that night. She says she taught herself how to avoid it, but in the end, cancer caught up with her. Stefani asks why she's having the dream now. Iris suggests it might be because she's dying, passing the burden on. Iris gives Stefani a book full of research about the deaths and asks her to stay with her. But Stefani, overwhelmed, doesn't believe any of it and tries to leave. Iris tries to stop her, suddenly gets a premonition of her dying outside. Despite the warning, steps outside. Iris hands her the book, and shortly afterward, Iris is killed, just as Iris foresaw. The next day, during Iris's death ceremony, Darlene shows up. Howard invites her to the family barbecue. Seeing this, Stefani tries to leave. Charlie stops her, but Stefani tells him she's not happy. Darlene came back after leaving them. Charlie, hurt, reminds Stefani that she did the same to him when she left for college. He used to call, but she never responded. Then he walks away. The next day, Stefani sits alone, flipping through the book Iris had given her. As she reads, she realizes that something terrible is about to happen. Meanwhile, at Howard's house, preparations for the barbecue are underway. A few moments later, Darlene arrives and brings a batch of peanut butter cookies. Turns out, Bobby is severely allergic to peanuts. A few moments later, Howard stands up and makes a toast in honor of their mother. Back at Stefani's house, she studies the book more carefully and sees a pattern, details suggesting that everyone who was saved that day is now going to die. Alarmed, she grabs the book and rushes out, heading toward Howard's house. She tries calling them along the way, but no one answers. At the barbecue, Howard offers Darlene the chance to stay with them, but she declines. Everything seems fine until Bobby almost gets injured. In the chaos, Julia accidentally knocks over a drink and sharp glass spills onto the ground. Howard steps on it and gets injured. At the same time, a fallen stick hits a lever on a nearby landmower, which suddenly turns on and slams into Howard's face, killing him instantly. Later that night, at Howard's death ceremony, Stefani frantically flips through Iris's book again. She explains to the others that death has come back to claim those who were saved at Skyview Tower, and now it's their turn. She points out that the oldest ones are dying first. Iris died, followed by Howard. That means Eric is next, then Julia and Bobby. After them, it'll be Darlene, Stefani, and finally Charlie. But no one believes her. One by one, they all leave, dismissing what she says. That night, at his tattoo shop, Eric is alone. Stefani tries to check on him, but he ignores her and begins tattooing himself. Suddenly, a glass object falls and shatters on the floor. As Eric jolts awake, he accidentally knocks over a container of highly flammable liquid. At the same time, one of the chains in the shop gets hooked onto his nose ring. He struggles to remove it, but can't. Meanwhile, the spilled liquid catches fire, and flames begin spreading rapidly across the floor, setting the shop ablaze. The next morning, Stefani wakes up startled and, together with Charlie, begins searching for Eric. They eventually find him. Stefani, worried, asks him about the fire. Eric explains that his leather jacket saved him from getting burned. As they walk home, Stefani warns Eric to stay away from footballs, saying it could somehow lead to a garbage truck accident. Later, at home, Julia shows up. While out for a run, a football suddenly hits her, knocking her into the path of a garbage truck. Stefani and Eric try to stop the truck, but the driver doesn't react. In desperation, Stefani jumps onto the truck to save Julia, but is unable to reach her in time. A few moments later, back at Howard's house, Brenda reveals that Howard was not Eric's biological father. She also admits that Iris's warnings about death were right. This causes everyone, except Stefani's father, to finally believe her. Worried he's next, Bobby brings up a man named John Bloodworth, who once cheated death. Hearing the name, Darlene remembers it from one of her mother's letters. She recalls that he works in a hospital. Without wasting time, they look up the address and head out. As they leave, Eric decides to join them. A few moments later, they arrive at the hospital and locate John Bloodworth. He tells them that Iris saved his life that night and later found him again to explain everything. He reveals there are only two ways to cheat death. First, by killing someone, thereby inheriting the remaining time of their life. Second, by dying and being brought back to life before death can claim them permanently. He adds that a woman once cheated death by attempting suicide, but was revived by a doctor, which broke the cycle, at least temporarily. When Stefani and the others ask for his help, but he refuses. He says he just wants to live out the rest of his life peacefully, then walks away. A few moments later, Eric comes up with a plan to save Bobby. He suggests that Bobby eat a peanut, causing a fatal allergic reaction, and that Eric will then administer the medication to revive him, thus cheating death. They quickly move into an MRI room. Eric steps out to get the medication. On his way out, he accidentally bumps a board that activates the MRI machine. He returns with a wheelchair and gives Bobby a peanut bar. Meanwhile, Charlie tries to call, but as he enters, the MRI machine pulls the phone, causing a power surge that increases the machine's magnetic force. The MRI begins pulling in all metal objects. The wheelchair Bobby is sitting in is dragged toward the machine, and Eric gets caught in between. The intense force rips the chair forward, crushing Eric and killing him instantly. Bobby manages to grab the medication from Eric's hand and injects himself. At that moment, a doctor notices the MRI is still on and opens the door, accidentally allowing a metal object from outside to fly in. It pierces through Bobby's head, killing him instantly. Stefani and the others witness the deaths around them and realize the danger is real. Outside, they decide that the only safe place left is Iris's house, so they set off in their vehicle toward it. While leaving, Stefani accidentally drops the coin. One of the women picks it up, unaware of its significance. A few moments later, their vehicle slams through the gates of Iris's property, but Stefani gets stuck in her wheelchair and tells the others to go inside without her. They don't realize that death has already planned everything. When they open the door, Darlene notices a gas leak and quickly tells Charlie to get down. Suddenly, a huge explosion occurs, knocking their RV into the water. Darlene saves her son, but is instantly killed when a pole falls on her. Charlie thinks Stefani might still be alive, so he jumps into the water and pulls her out. Believing they have cheated death once again, they leave the area. A few days later, at Jenny's house, Stefani suffers an injury similar to the one Iris had at Skyview Tower. Meanwhile, the coin slips through a woman's hand and comes to rest on a train switch, stopping the train midway. Back at Jenny's house, Jenny's father explains that Stefani didn't actually die that day. She was just unconscious. Suddenly, the train derails and crashes toward them, killing both Stefani and her brother. The end. Thanks for watching, and please do watch full movie for best experience.